Welcome to another video about Lent. This video is all about practical ways to live out Lent, not just in theory, but in small, meaningful actions. You might think that Lent is only for the holy, that only saint can endure intense fasting, self-denial, and deep self-discipline. After all, we recognize ourselves as sinners, often feeling unworthy and hopeless. But let me tell you something. When you hear that a saint ate only 2 potatoes a day and fasted for entire day, it's easy to think, of course they are saints. I could never do that. Or perhaps you have heard of a saint who lived solely on the Eucharist, someone who loved Christ so deeply that she even shared in his suffering and passion. And you wonder, how could I ever reach that level of devotion? Whenever that thought crosses your mind, remind yourself of this truth. I am made holy and whole because Christ died for me on the cross. The saints were also humans, just like us. Their strength did not come from themselves. It came from God. Habits shape discipline, and a willing heart makes anything possible. I have often felt that I needed to do something greater and extraordinary for God, as if only big sacrifice could prove my love for Him. And honestly, that thought made me feel good until I realized it was impossible. But here's what I discovered. A deep relationship with Christ doesn't begin with great acts. It begins with love. And love doesn't measure big or small. It simply acts. Doing something, anything to express love in every little way possible. So let's start small. In this video, I'll share simple but powerful Lenten routines from saints like Saint Teresa of Lisieux, the beloved Little Way Saint, that will make you realize I can do this. With that said, let's begin by declaring, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So let's get started with our first saint, Saint Teresa of Lisieux, the Little Way of Lent. She would give up small comforts like sugar or warm drinks, but without telling anyone. If she was given something she didn't like, she would eat it joyfully without complaining. She offered up smiling when she didn't feel like it, and being patient with difficult people. She would always take the hard tasks in the convent like cleaning and doing laundry to practice humility. She would pray constantly for sinners, especially for one criminal before his execution. She would offer every discomfort like cold weather, tiredness, pain as an act of love for God. She would meditate on Jesus' suffering, imagining herself comforting him in his passion. Saint Ignatius of Loyola, his way is discipline and reflection. He would fast from unnecessary talking, training in self-discipline. He would spend extra time meditating on the passion of Christ. He would choose a specific weakness like impatience and work on improving it every day. He would give up anything that distracted him from prayer, even if it wasn't sinful. His method teaches us that Lent isn't just about external sacrifice like fasting. It's about deep inner transformation. Our next saint is Saint Faustina. Her method is mercy and hidden sacrifices. She would do small secret acts of sacrifice like taking the most unappetizing food without complaining and secretly offering it to God. She would help her fellow sisters quietly, expecting no recognition. She would offer up her silent suffering, never complaining when she was in pain. She would spend extra time in adoration, gazing at Jesus in Blessed Sacrament. Her method teaches us that even the smallest of sacrifices are really meaningful. Our next saint is Saint Francis de Sales. His method, while many saints focused on fasting from food, Saint Francis de Sales believed in fasting from hurtful words. He practiced extreme gentleness even when others provoked him. He would embrace daily annoyances as hidden sacrifices, whether it was dealing with difficult people, interruptions, or small sufferings. He taught that enduring these with peaceful heart was more valuable than extreme fasting. He would take at least 1 hour a day for silent meditation, especially reflecting on Christ's passion. He encouraged imagining oneself at the foot of the cross, speaking to Jesus directly. He believed the best Lenten sacrifice was acts of kindness, helping the poor, forgiving offenses, and speaking gently. He said, "What we need is a cup of understanding, a barrel of love, and a notion of patience. Before bed, he would do an examination of conscience, thanking God for the day's graces and asking for help in overcoming faults. Her method is meant as a season of humility. As a mother and later a nun, she practiced moderate fasting, eating only simple meals like broth, bread, or porridge. She taught her children and sisters to fast from complaints and negativity, seeing it as a more meaningful sacrifice. She would give up her own opinions in arguments, practicing humility. She encouraged others to unite their personal struggles, whether illness, grief, or exhaustion, with Jesus' sufferings. She saw Lent as a time to serve others without recognition, offering every small action to God. Her Lenten practice was about dying to self in small ways, proving that humility is one of the greatest sacrifices. Let me know which one of these saints' routine more interesting to you.